they have been trying to occupy lands around Paraguay to put pressure to get the land reform done. So this was one of such incidents, and there were hundreds of campesinos and their families, and the police moved in and they killed. It was killed. This is still under investigation. It's not clear, quote unquote, who killed who, but we know better. 11 at the end, 11 campesinos, peasants were dead, and 6 police officers. One interesting thing, one of those police officers was the brother of the security chief of Lugo. So that's just to keep that in mind. The police blames and the army blames the campesinos, saying they have all these sophisticated weapons and, you know, they were prepared, they have sharpshooters and all that, which was completely dismissed because in the findings they just found the machetes and the, you know, machetes that campesinos use, and just very rustic rifles. So there was no way that they could have done the massacre the way that was done. Plus, the evidence of the people killed, they found that they were shot by sharpshooters. They were all killed from the waist up. It was like a sharp shooting event. It was not like in the middle of the battle. Important, whose was this farm? This farm belonged to Blas Riquelme. Blas Riquelme is like the Facuseson in Honduras. He's called, he's the richest, if he's not the richest, he's there in Paraguay. They call it the Carlos Slim of Paraguay. You know Carlos Slim, the rich guy from Mexico who owns all these telecommunications and all that? Well, this is Blas Riquelme. Blas Riquelme was from the Colorado Party. Let's get to the next one. Okay, there you go. The land that he owns, quote unquote, and that the campesinos were occupying, they were illegally given to him during the dictatorship of Alfredo Stroessner. He was from the Colorado Party. So, and this, he, not only Riquelme, but many of these land that the big landowners owned were given like gifts. And favors, you know, during the dictatorship. So, and since 2010, during Lugo's administration, the Institute of Land and Rural Development, even though Lugo was not able to do a land reform, and he was really wishy-washy, but the National Institute was trying to see which lands, and they were kind to listing what lands were there. This was one of the lands that they had in the list to see if when the time comes to put into place the agrarian reform, that would be. This was the excuse, right? The poor performance because there was this massacre and this was Lugo's fault. Lugo was trying those days to see who was the culprit, who was responsible for the massacre. So he started putting in place a team of research to do an investigation, and it was supported by the OAS. And after he dismissed his Minister of Interior, which is Carlos Filisola, who is one of the parties that are part of this big coalition that got Lugo into power. And he also fired the chief of police, Paulino Rojas, who tried to deal with this. In 2008, Lugo wins the election under this kind of loose coalition, which is called Alianza Patriótica para el Cambio, which was formed the year before. This Alianza Patriótica, it's like dozens of parties, and even including, at that time, the Communist Party of Paraguay. but it was from center-left and center to the Communist Party. It was like very, very kind of uneven. Some progressive forces, like Social Democrats mostly. Then I put there the Frente Guazú, but Frente Guazú was not part of the electoral. It was formed afterward. It was formed in 2010 with the Alianza Patriótica, another coalition of movements and unions. And I mention it is because right now Frente Guazú it's taking a more active role in the resistance. We have to take, when we talk about left in Paraguay, many of these organizations, we have to, we cannot say in a blanket way, they are all lefty, they are all progressive. There are, different tones and some are even accused of collaborating with the U.S. So it's very uneven. What was the role of the United States government and transnational? It's very important to put ourselves in what was Paraguay, and also was Argentina and Chile during dictatorship, but Paraguay, it's a special case among all the Latin American countries. And we have Colombia, that it's like a colony, or it's a neo-colony of the United States, and but Paraguay was a very special case. It's still a very special case. I want people to think about that, because we cannot compare like the movement in Honduras, the movement in Colombia, the movement in Ecuador, and the movement in Paraguay, but put it into the context of the historical political context of Paraguay. And Paraguay, we know that there is a huge concentration of wealth in few hands. We know already there was a violent dictatorship, which was an ally of the United States. I mean, this was a defender, was an anti-communist, strange, fuerte, that thing, how you say? That thing, very strong. You help me with the English, come on, it was a anti-communist to the core, violent. This is the country that had more on the Plan Condor. Those Latin Americans who are here, they know about the Plan Condor. How much suffering that got to all the movement, the left movement in Latin America, which other countries were. But Paraguay was important because the United States held and still holds Paraguay in so many ways, We talk about the land, but it's, of course, during the Plan Condor, who would provide that and whose benefit was it? But the United States, gave all the technical support and continues to this day. So according to one of the WikiLeaks, they say that an officer of the U.S. Embassy gave the information and the report that the ambassador at that time was talking with who else but Federico Franco, the current president, who then was vice president. And Federico Franco would talk many times about how he disagreed with Lugo, while he was still Lugo's vice president. And they spoke about the possibility of a coup in 2009, just 1 year after Lugo took office. In terms of the connections of the United States, we know that after the massacre, he dismissed and he fired his Filisola, which was the interior minister. And then Lugo comes and names somebody from the Colorado party, the big opposition, the party from Stroessner, who had ruled 61 years before Lugo. Lugo was the first one that was not from the Colorado party. So he nominated this person, Ruben Candia. as Minister of the Interior. So what Idilio Mendez Grimaldi, who is a journalist and political analyst from Paraguay, he wrote a book called Los Herederos de Stroessner, that of Stroessner. But he says, Candia was accused of having promoted repression against leaders of peasant organizations and popular movements. His nomination to Attorney General in 2005 was approved by the then Ambassador of the United States, John Keane. Candia was responsible for an increased control by USAID of the Public Prosecutor's Office and was accused in the early days of his government by Fernando Lugo for conspiring against him to remove him from office. This was in 2005. I mean, this was a guy that in 2005, under Nicanor Duarte, had already massacred and was accused of violence against peasants, the same thing that happened now. And he comes and names him Minister of the Interior.